Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Guy Blackburn. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that continue to serve, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and by students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, St Joseph's School, East Maitland. From Victoria, Scotch College, Melbourne, and Bandiana Primary School, Bandiana. Please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is earth by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Boys and girls, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Sapper Kenneth George Hamilton. Kenneth George Hamilton was born in 1895, the third son of William Christina Hamilton of Fitzroy in Melbourne. Known as Ken to his family and friends, Hamilton attended Napier Street State School in Fitzroy and later worked as a hairdresser. Hamilton enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 16th of July 1915 and commenced his military training. On the 20th of February 1916, he embarked on the transport ship Ulysses for the war on the Western Front. Hamilton sailed with the Australian Mining Corps, a group of 1,300 men that would eventually form into a number of tunnelling companies that assisted Australian and British operations on the Western Front. These tunnelling companies performed a vital but dangerous role in the war by digging and maintaining extensive tunnel system underneath no man's land and enemy trenches. The mines dug by men such as Hamilton could be filled with explosives and detonated prior to a major attack. The results of such actions could be devastating on enemy lines. It was terrifying and dangerous work. The men worked in appalling conditions characterised by mud, poor air quality and mine collapses. The men often had to work in complete silence so as to not let German miners operating nearby to the position of Australian tunnels know that they were there. Hamilton arrived in France in May of 1916 and transferred north to serve in the trenches at Armentières and later at Bayeux, near the Franco-Belgian border. In October, he transferred north to Flanders to serve in the Ypres sector. Here, the first Australian tunnelling company replaced the third Canadian tunnelling company in the mines below a rise known as Hill 60. This was near Popperinga. The mines in this new area of operations were far deeper and more extensive than those in northern France, and Charles Bean, Australia's official historian, described the action there as being both over and under the ground, incomparably more intense. In Belgium, Hamilton and the first tunnelling company worked on keeping the vast mining sector under Hill 60 to the south of Ypres salient, intact, and improving the draining and ventilation systems. The mines were being dug in preparation for a major detonation that would occur in June of 1917. This detonation would completely destroy German defences, leading to a major Allied victory. On the 25th of April in 1917, the second anniversary of the first Anzac landing on Gallipoli, Hamilton was one of several men in the forward officers' quarter in a dugout in the trenches of Popperinga. He was serving as an aide to Captain Ernest Anderson, also of the first tunnelling company. Hamilton and 5 fellow aides were in an underground storeroom when an explosion ripped through the dugout, killing 9 of the occupants, Hamilton included. He was just 21 years old. There are 2 accounts of the cause of the explosion. One account states that 3 of the officers killed were inspecting some mining equipment in a room adjacent to Hamilton when a sensitive detonator accidentally fired and ignited nearby explosives, killing the men instantly. Another account, later verified by Captain Anderson, stated the dugout was struck by a heavy German mortar during a period of particularly heavy shelling on the Australian positions. Hamilton was dearly missed by his fellow soldiers and his family so far away. Captain Anderson wrote to Hamilton's family to send his sincere sympathies. His family left a series of commemorations in local newspapers, in one writing that he was only a lad, but a hero. He is buried in the railway dugouts burial ground in Belgium, where over 2,000 soldiers of the First World War now lie. His grieving family left the following inscription on his grave: "Our little hero, Ken, dearly loved and sadly missed. His name is listed on the roll of honour to my right amongst the 62,000 Australians who served and died in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sapper Kenneth George Hamilton, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.